here, coming over here, and that's going to happen, okay? So I wanted my presentation to be a little bit different because I didn't know what we were all doing. So, can you go to the next slide?
Yeah.
All right, so if you can get your phone out and go to this QR code really quickly. And then the question that we're going to answer, whether it is want to use words, or you want to use a GIF, what do you think are the 2 most common behaviors that disrupt instruction? And then we're just going to call them out really quickly as you do that. All right, so I have talking to other students, kids trying to be funny. I have a little GIF with like a dog. I'm pretty sure that's like squirrel. It could be like ADHD. It could be lack of attention. Kids just laughing, getting distracted, being out of their seat. So very common responses: talking out loud, throwing tantrums. So throwing tantrums, you can say they look very differently, but they all do it. So whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school, they still do it, okay? So a little background about me. I graduated from the University of Fayetteville State University from North Carolina. My undergrad is in K through 6. I was a bilingual elementary teacher. I taught math and science. Prior to that, I was a bilingual ESL coordinator at another district. Prior to that, I did teach kindergarten. And so I loved kindergarten until I taught 4th grade. And I actually prepared myself to be like the best ELA teacher in the world. And then I came to Texas and I was offered a job as a math and science teacher, as a bilingual teacher. And my sister was offered the ELA position to be my partner. And at that time, I dreaded math. So it was like, oh my God, you know, like, what do I do? I want my sister to have a job and be able to come here. So what do I do? So I'm gonna take advantage that we're at a Christian university, and I said, Lord, this is funny. You know that I hate math, but if you're giving me this opportunity, I'm gonna go ahead and take it, and I'm gonna believe that you're gonna give me the wisdom that I need. And so I took it. I definitely watched a lot of Carol DeWitt, videos about growth mindset and how to get rid of that fear for math, and it was the best decision that I ever made. I don't know how. I became a math teacher and science teacher, and I loved it, and I wouldn't see myself doing anything different. My sister still teaches at the elementary school, but I went ahead and moved up to middle school. But just really quickly, going back to this, and so I did graduate from a master's degree here in curriculum and instruction. I have to say that the University of Maryland Baylor has one of the best teacher pep programs that I've ever seen. I felt prepared for my undergrad, but when I got my master's, I really felt prepared to go into the classroom. And so now, I'm supposed to be graduating in May. Please pray for me when you think about me, from the doctoral program here at UMHB, okay? Sometimes I cry internally, but it's gonna be okay, right? So, 2 most frequent misbehaviors. We're gonna also talk about what does research say and what strategies work. Because you're gonna have a time where you're gonna build your own rules in the classroom. You're gonna continue talking about great classroom strategies. But if you understand why kids do what they do, it's easier for you to tackle those behaviors before they happen, okay? Okay, so the 2 most frequent behaviors: students not staying in their seats, right? And the second one is refusal to do work. So what does research say? So research says that actually, right, we know about growth spurts, right? And so we talk about scientists and research that's done on the brain and human development, and we say that kids are a sponge from birth to the age of 3, right? However, recent research has revealed that during the early adolescence, age of 11 to 14, kids go through a second growth spurt, okay, where they're extremely vulnerable. They can learn so many things. It can be a bad thing because this is where addictions can come in and replace, good behaviors, but it can also be a time where we teach students how to act the right way. So one rule that I always had as an expectation was, and it sounds better in Spanish than in English, but I'll say it in English. I would say, in my house, because this is my house now, you spend almost all day with me, okay? This is our clean space. I like my house clean. You're gonna come in, and this is my expectations of you. So in my house, this is how we're gonna do things. You can go outside, go back home and do whatever it is that you do at home, but in my house, this is what I expect of you. And so reminding students what that expectation is and teaching them, not expecting them to know. If you come into teaching thinking that kids should already know, and that's your expectation, you're gonna set yourself up for failure, okay? So every adolescence is definitely a window of opportunity, and I heard some great things. I truly and honestly, I love hearing why people come into education, and I can honestly say that everyone here had a reason, right? Whether it's following a calling, you know, it's within your family. It's beautiful when you want to impact other people the same way that you were impacted positively, or you want to impact students in a way that you were not impacted, right? So if you can think of right now and close your eyes, everybody close your eyes and think of the best teacher you could think of. Open your eyes. Could you think of somebody? Immediately, right? I can tell you my best teacher forever is gonna be, and she recently passed away, Saida Cacho. She was my teacher going into a Department of Defense school where she babied me and taught me English, and I learned English in 6 months. And she will forever be the person that every time I think about becoming a teacher, it was her. The way that she treated me, the way that she made me feel like it was okay to make mistakes. So in a classroom, you want to build a culture where it's okay to make mistakes, all right? So this guy right here, Ronald Dole, he's the director of the Institute of Human Development at the University of California. He was the one who said, kids have a window of opportunity. This is a chance to set students on a solid path for the remainder of their education. So counselor, he wants to be able to create that path for students to at least try a first year of college. That's awesome. But we can also think about other opportunities, right? Because, you know, we want the best for our students. So some of the reasons why students can't stay in their seats scientifically, they have a weak core strength, right? So everybody stand up for a quick minute. How many of you are tired of sitting? Raise your hand. Okay. All right, so we're gonna stand up and we're gonna stretch our hands, okay? Stretch as much as you can and go, ah. Ah. A. E. O. U. You just learned the vowels in Spanish. Go ahead, have a seat. So, kids cannot sit because this is a different generation. During my generation, during our generation, there were no phones. That's old. There was no tablets, okay? So kids become stuck to their devices, right? All you could do was go play outside or stay inside, right? And no one wanted to stay inside. We wanted to be outside. We wanted to be climbing trees. We wanted to be doing everything that we could. So that sustained our core, right? Some more than others. So physically, we were able to sustain ourselves, right? When kids do not work out, we know this, right? Those of you who want to coach, when kids do not work out, they're weak muscles, so they get tired easily and they can't sit for long periods of time, right? So things that we could do, we could create a seating chart where Johnny sits close to the wall. That way, at least the wall is propping him up. And he doesn't have to use all his strength to prop him up. We can also provide alternative seating. We have a lot of different kinds of seats, and wherever you get hired at, there's flexible seating. You can create your own seating. At the high school, we have classrooms that have couches, that have wobbly chairs, that have ball chairs. Even in middle school, we have the same thing. I love flexible seating. You just have to have procedures and routines in place of how you want students to conduct themselves with flexible seating. Is it doable? I love it. People that I know that hate it is because they have not had procedures in place that work for them, okay? So the next thing is behavior. So obviously they can't stay in their seat, it's behavior. You know, Dr. Bruce talked a little bit about this, right? So sometimes attention, I need attention. I don't get attention at home. I want you to pay attention to me. And since the only way that you're gonna pay attention to me is if I hit Johnny in the back of the head, hey, I hit Johnny in the back of the head. It was me, right? The other thing would be escape. This is too hard. I don't understand the assignment. Since COVID, I stayed home. I really didn't do any work. I'm like 3 years behind in reading and math, so I don't wanna work. So I'm gonna act out, because it's easier for me to act out. And then the other thing is just access to tangibles, whether it's like in kindergarten, I want this. So I know that if I throw a tantrum, I might get this, right? Or you might get so fed up of me throwing a tantrum that you're gonna give me what I want, which is I want you to leave me alone so I won't have to do anything, right? So if we can get ahead of those behaviors, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school, and you can plan for that, you're gonna be great. Okay, so the other part that I wanted to bring to your attention is prioritizing those behaviors. One of the problems that I see when I do walkthroughs is I'll see teachers who everybody's just doing their thing, right? And they're just here, hey, so we're gonna get started in the class, and we're gonna get started in the class, and these people are still talking over here, these people are still doing whatever they want, and they feel like they can just ignore the behavior and it's gonna go away. It's not gonna go away, okay? So we're gonna prioritize that behavior. We're gonna look at, does it include safety concerns? If Johnny's passing gas in the back, you know what? Let Johnny pass gas in the back. Maybe he's lactose intolerant, and today, you know, he just needs to do that. You bring more attention to it, it's gonna cause a disruption. But tomorrow, when Johnny continues to pass gas, then I would say, hey honey, you know, like, do we need to go to the nurse? Is there a problem with your milk, or is something going on, you know, at home? And then you have that talk with that student. The next thing would be disruptive behavior. So obviously you're gonna, if the behavior is that it's interfering with the student learning, it's causing a disruption, we need to address it. And then distracting behavior, you know, is someone just banging their pencil? What can we do? Can we get them a fidget spinner? You know, can we get them something to replace that's causing the distraction? And then strategies. I'm gonna share this with you guys if you guys would like, and there's a link to every one of them, and it's got a lot of articles. It's research-based, instructional strategies, preventive strategies. I would say when you plan, okay, you need to plan for the good behaviors and you need to plan for the negative behaviors, okay? So I heard someone ask about how did you adjust your rules, right? So definitely think about yourself. What's your attention span? Because mine is like 10 minutes and I'm done, right? So think about that when you're planning, you know, coming in, and what's the expectation? So when we see that everybody looks like they're falling asleep, come on, everybody, let's get up. So everybody stand up. Everybody stand up, come on. And so, let me tell you a little bit about this. So, when I tell you what the expectation is, right? So, we're gonna, at the count of 3, you're gonna go, ha! And then you're gonna sit down. And then you're just gonna get out of your system. 1, 2, 3. Ha! Okay, let's sit down. So, you know, you're gonna plan for that. It may sound silly, but you know, sometimes you just need that, okay? Because you know that I care about your education, correct? We need good teachers like you. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna give you my card, and then I'm gonna let you know that we have an art position open and we have a science position open. So I'm going to throw that out there, okay? So I mean, the thing is that the best way to keep yourself motivated, as the young man had asked, is for you to be a lifelong learner. As you continue to learn about what works, it's less frustration. Okay? And you're gonna hear people nag and complain, and you need to make a choice for yourself, because if you're not in the right space to hear that and you know it affects you, there's a time and place for that, right? And I always feel like education might not be for everybody, okay? So, you're gonna provide constant reminders as needed. Classroom expectations provide students with guidelines for appropriate behavior. Don't assume that they know. I had a teacher create one of her goals, and it said, that the outcome of the goal was going to be that she would have to not remind students of the expectations. When I saw that, I was like, Benedito, you know, like, you know, she's new, you know, she's new, but let's have a realistic conversation. This is gonna be constant until the day they graduate, right? Because constant reminders prevent us from having those negative behaviors. So I used to hear the administrator say, remember, when they come back from Christmas break or Thanksgiving break, remind them of those expectations. And I'm like, why? But then they come back and they act like they've never been in class. And you're like, okay, come on, hey, we're not gonna do that here, right? So positive reinforcement increases the frequency of behaviors. positive behaviors. And expectations should be taught and reviewed regularly. It's gonna be like, as an AP, I can tell you that if I could record myself and say, take off your hoodie, fix your Crocs, it would be like, play, because it's like an everyday thing, right? So really quickly, this is something displayed in one of my teachers' classrooms. I love walking in there because she's got great classroom management, students are always engaged, they know what to do, and she doesn't have to hold them by the hand because she's got clear expectations. She's got this up on the board. So you're talking, oh, you don't know what talking is? It's, you're moving your mouth, right? And so, it's that age where they need to kind of hear that. Classroom rules. So no, we're good, you can go to the next one. So this may be a lot, but you can take from there. Be ready to learn. Use positive language. Hey, Johnny, can't be cursing out the storm every time you come into class. How about we replace that word with freaking? Like maybe we can work with that, all right? All right, and keep your hands to yourself. I don't know why, but middle schoolers love to hit each other. I mean, it's a constant thing. I'm like, keep your hands to yourself. And then my bilingual kids, I'm like, do I need to say it in Spanish? Deja de estar tocando a alguien. All right, and then work hard. And so, behavior management, step one, this is a warning, stop it. I'm asking you, like this behavior is disrupting the class. Step two, we're gonna have a conversation. Come on, let's have this conversation over here in private. Step three, dude, I gave you a warning. We had a conversation. We're calling your parent now. Step four, we've gone through 1, 2, and 3. It's a detention. Referral. Now we're gonna have a parent-teacher conference. Do you really want to sit there and talk to me again about the things that I've had to tell you? So, and then she's got this reminder that says that when you make a choice, you also choose the consequence. And I usually, yes, ma'am.
Oh, I just had a question. So you would do a referral before having a parent-teacher conference?
Yes.
Can I ask why?
Well, that depends on the student, okay? That's a very individualized thing, okay? So, I mean, this is just like what she teaches them in class, because like when they hear referral, they don't wanna hear referral. So she has step 5, that when I have to assign, because she never assigns referrals. So at this point, if I have to get to step 5 and assign the referral, it's serious.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, sometimes it's prudent to have the parent-teacher conference before you get to any of this, okay? Especially if you're seeing concerns, if you're seeing negative behaviors, it just depends on what the student situation is.
Okay.
So thank you for asking that. You can go to the next one. All right, and there's nothing wrong with having some room for improvement, you need to be prepared, but you also need to know that you're gonna make mistakes. And then if you can learn from those mistakes, it's gonna be a great place to be. And so this is what I tell, my husband teaches at the high school as well, and we all have our moments where we're like, okay, I don't know if I can continue doing this. And then I'm like, you know what? November 11th, we have a holiday. And then we only have to work 5 more days after that, and we get Thanksgiving break, And we look forward to those breaks. And then I tell people, I'm like, if you come into education, you only teach 180 days of the year. That's amazing. It's like just half of it, so you're off the rest of it, And so just continue to do what you guys are doing. You guys are doing great. Does anybody have questions for me? Yes.
So it's for you, but also I guess for Dr. Mayo too.
Fire away.
So how would y'all measure teacher success, especially in the first couple of years, as administrators or principals or assistant principals?
So one of the things that I can say that's great about, well, first of all, let me say that Dr. Mayo was the one who recruited me for Temple ISD, okay? So I've worked in North Carolina, I've worked in other, my kids went to another school district, so I'm gonna tell you what he said in class, because it wasn't necessary to me, but he said, do you wanna make a difference? Do you wanna go and make a difference in this place, or do you wanna do that? And to me, it was really important to make a difference. That's me, that's like my love language. I need to be doing something for somebody, and this makes me feel good about, what I do. So we have a great mentorship program for first-year teachers and second-year teachers. They're assigned a mentor, so they have that support, but we also have T-tests. Okay, and that's how teachers get rated. And so one of the conversations that I have with teachers, first-year teachers are, this is your first year. We're not gonna shoot for distinguished or accomplished. We're gonna shoot for, maybe in some areas you might be developing because this is your first time teaching, but if you're proficient, you're a solid rock teacher, and that's great. And we work with you through action coaching, where we help you with strategies to improve your practice.
Yeah, new teachers come all along the spectrum, so success looks different for each teacher. So we have one now that is on a formal coaching plan and working through some strategies, and if she can get through those strategies, that's a successful year. But that's not the same as another guy I'm thinking about. He's on a different track, and so we're trying to push him. Everyone is trying to get better. So it just depends on where you're at.
You had a question, sir?
Yes, so I'm at like Bolton Middle School for like observation right now, and this is kind of going back to your like disruptive behavior. Like I know you put the strategies up there, I just kind of want to know how you would handle this, because like all semester, we have an AIM student, and I'm not sure exactly.
Ames.
Pass, yes.
So, I'm not sure exactly, what he has or anything, but this kid, he has a iPad, and I mean, you can't take that away, but he's really disruptive. Like, he'll play that out loud, and then when the teacher says something, he'll say, shut up, like, stuff like that, and he'll get up and say, well, I'll just think we're stupid, like, that's why we need to come to school, and then eventually, every day, he just gets kicked out, and I was like, I don't know, I feel like he's not getting any of the class out of that, so I just kinda wanted to know, like, how you would handle that situation.
So at our district, it's called PASS, and we have a PASS teacher that teaches social skills to students, and they provide support in the classroom as well. So in our case, we have some kids that can be extremely disruptive. So first of all, like as a teacher, you wanna read their IEP. You wanna be able to make sure that you're providing everything that they need for them to be successful. Now, if once you've exhausted and you've done everything on there, then you can call for support and they will come. And sometimes, the students will get removed, but then they work that assignment in the classroom. So they're still getting their assignments done, but just in a smaller environment where they can operate, getting the support that they need. So I would say, one thing that distinguishes us at Temple ISD is that, we do have the support. And so right now I'm working with one of my past teachers, and she's come up with an incentive program where if this was the behavior, it would be like, so you can have the iPad during this time if you complete this work for this amount of time. So I actually have a student where he does nothing, he stands up, he gets up, he's going through like a horrible life-changing event, and so the sub was like, what can I do with him? And I said, well, how about you give him a 5-minute timer and tell him for 5 minutes, I need you to work. And then since the art room, there's a door that's connected to our indoor pond, I said, let him walk in the indoor pond for a minute and then he can come back. So then I touched base with him and I said, hey, we're gonna work with this with you. And then I have that conversation, I have the relationship with the student, and I tell him, if you do this, you can do that. And so, just kind of like building that relationship, because it's easy to give up on a pass because you like, just take them away, But it's more of the relationship, and then what strategies can you do to put in place? Yes.
Okay, my question is like, when you guys like interview people, how many people are typically like in the interview room?
Depends.
It depends on.
If it's during the year, we'll have a full committee.
Okay.
You'll have an administrator, probably an instructional coach, a grade level teacher, maybe 2 teachers. If it's in the summertime, when a lot of people are off contract, then it may be just you and an administrator. So it just all depends. But I would say the normal size of a committee would be around 5 to 8, would be probably the average size committee.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on kids talking during instruction, and would you let them talk if it's on topic?
So there's a time for that. And so one of the things is that champs is extremely important. And so your expectation would be like, so if everybody's talking, I'm like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My expectation is that we're all at level 0. So I'm gonna talk, and then I'm gonna give you a time to turn and talk to your partner, and then we're gonna stay on topic, and then you would provide like a sentence stem or a question, this is what we're gonna talk about.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
When it comes to like keeping kids like attention and stuff, did you ever implement like brain breaks like
Yes.
within, and like what was one of your favorite kind of like break, I guess, you would do?
So, the things that we've done, it's been different, right? So, it could be like instruction can look different in every case. Sometimes it would be like standing up. Maybe I played a vocabulary video and I would ask them, all right, everybody, we're gonna stand in place and we're all gonna move our legs. And they would be like, oh, I don't wanna dance. I'm like, I'm not asking you to dance, I'm just asking you to walk in place, okay? And this is participation grade. So just it's a matter of how you present it and how excited you are. Because if you're like, oh my God, they asked me to play vocabulary and I hate this, then they're gonna be like, yeah, we don't wanna do it. But when you're like, okay, come on, I look silly, but so will you, and this is your grade, right? Who wants an A? And so, it just depends on how you,
Gotcha.
okay? Anybody else? Yes, sir.
In your opinion, what's the most important characteristic for a first year teacher?
Ooh, that's a really hard question.
So I would say coachable.
Yes, that's definitely the perfect word. And that goes along with being a lifelong learner and knowing that we're gonna make mistakes and it's okay. I mean, as long as everybody's safe, okay?
And be willing to ask for help.
Yes, yes, sir.
It's kind of like more of a practical question, but I have like tattoos on my arm. Is that something y'all would want like an interviewee to wear a short sleeve shirt to show you that they have that, or like?
I think
more to disclose that.
So maybe 15 years ago, yes, but nowadays,
It's just
it's, I would say normal, but, or accept, it's just, no one cares. No one cares.
I mean,
Unless it's
right,
vulgar.
I mean,
I'm not from the
Yeah.
area, so I don't know.
well, we just want you to be the best teacher that you can be. We're not looking at your appearance, we're looking at what you bring to the table for the students,
Okay.
okay? Yes.
So I guess moving over to parents, how do you deal with parents that also don't want to participate in the kids' lives? So for example, you were talking about parent meetings after the referral, like how do you deal with parents like that, like if don't want to be in the kids' life, so.
So typically when a parent doesn't want to be in the kids' lives, they won't even answer the phone. So we're not gonna have a parent-teacher conference because they're gonna block my number, and I have plenty of those. They'll block the number or anything, but I try to exhaust every communication avenue. And sometimes I will get in the car with our SRO and I will do a home visit. And then I'll be like, hey, hi, I've been calling you, like, I mean, it's kind of stalkerish, but we want you to know that we care about your kid. This is what's going on. How can we help you support us? Does that make sense? Who else had their hand up? Yes.
Let's do one more and then Dr. Powell.
So in your experience, especially like starting out as like a teacher when you got into it, what is the most unexpected difficulty that you've had that you thought you never would have had?
Oh my God. So I'm gonna tell you honestly, I'm very scared of like that first interaction, okay? So I was extremely scared, like, oh my God, I have all these rules, I have all these great things, these kids might eat me alive, and that's how I felt. And then going into my new role, I would tell myself, okay, I taught some of these kids, so I have some street cred with them, so they'll respect me, but it's middle school, they're gonna eat me alive. And that's how I went into it every day. But every day I'd be like, Lord, I present myself before you, please cover me with your blood, so no joke, I mean, I really do pray and ask God to guide me. And so I don't know everything, okay? I'm still learning, I'm still a work in progress, but we're gonna turn it over to Dr. Powell and I'm gonna pass out my business cards, okay?